What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Julie Reaction, and if you are new here, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like, share and comment on the video. So today we are going to look at some of the key message from a speech by Barbados Prime Minister Mottley, a speech that has sparkled discussion around leadership, inequality and the future of developing countries. The issue she raises are worth thinking about. So guys, kindly watch this video till the end and I'll be back with more comments. All credits goes back to the person who captured this speech.
Democracy works when it delivers for people. And I come from a country that has known what it is to be a pawn of others for the majority of our modern existence. I come from a party that was established 88 years ago to help stop poor people from being poor and to fight injustice and to create opportunities for our people. And I don't say so for the sake of saying so, because today our people have access to free tertiary education, free primary, free secondary education. Today the people of my country have access to free health care, and while we battle with the quality of health care because of the increasing cost globally and particularly in the Western Hemisphere, we remain resolute about being able to give them the best health care possible that we can give them. I come from a country where public transport and where Social Security works for ordinary people. I come from a country that introduced a minimum wage in the middle of COVID, when others said that the economy would collapse. And we said, let us try. And we tried and we introduced it, and the minimum wage has been increased twice in the last 6 years. I come from a country that knows that democracy works when it delivers for people. But part of the difficulty that we have is that the majority of persons globally who have been given the opportunity to come out of poverty do not look back and see those who they left. And whether that is those who have come out of poverty in rich countries, or those who have come out of poverty in middle-income countries, or those who have come out of poverty in poor countries, the conscience that we require of human beings is not working in the way that it should. Because if it worked, then we would see people and understand that people deserve a fair chance. And we would recognize that health care is a basic right, not a luxury. And we would get it. That affordable wages, livable wages, must be the target for all of us. We have a world that is at war. A world that is at war in Europe, a world that is at war in Africa, a world that is at war in the Middle East, a world that is at war with inequality, a world that is at war with the planet. And the one people who can change it on earth is human beings. But we have to choose to do better. And I believe that it is possible for us to do so. You may ask, if democracy is working for us in our small state, why am I here? I am here because the international community has not made it possible for small states to be able to breathe properly, for small states to participate in a global community, in an international rules-based order that is essential for us to survive. I am here because 80 years after the Bretton Woods institutions were created, and created in the image of the handful of countries that existed at the time, they still do not see small states. They still do not see developing states. They are still prepared to accept that 600 million people can go in the world without basic access to electricity, that water and food insecurity is as large as it is, regrettably, among the majority of our people. And the best kept secret is that the majority of poor people do not live in poor countries globally. The majority of poor people live in middle income and upper middle income countries globally. And this brings us back to the reality of choice. We have choice about how we spend our money. We have choice about what matters to us. And we have choice ultimately about what battles we fight and what wars we start and what wars we end. And we will only be able to achieve that if ordinary people hold ordinary leaders to account, and if leaders remember how they got there rather than forgetting the ladder upon which they climbed to be able to exercise power. In this world, we need fairness and we need solidarity. And without fairness and without solidarity, we are not going to achieve the things that can save the planet. We're not going to achieve the things that will lift people out of poverty. We're not going to improve the working conditions of working class people. We're not going to be able to ensure that we immunize ourselves from future pandemics which will kill without reference to age, stage, or wealth. I ask us today to recognize that it is in the small things that we do at the level of our families and at the level of our communities that will make nations stronger. And it is only when we have strong nations prepared to stand up for what they believe in that we can have a fairer world and that we can fight for the rights that are preserved and articulated in the United Nations Charter. But if ordinary people allow the not so good to pass, and if ordinary people turn a blind eye to the bad, and if ordinary people become blind to what is evidently in front of them, then people get accustomed to believing that they can get away with it and that impunity will always be the order of the day for them. We can only turn the wheel by holding each other to account. And I ask therefore, Pedro, I ask therefore my brother and my sisters, that we get the message across. And principles will only mean something when it is inconvenient to stand by them. To that end, it means that we have to confront the reality of our past as well, and to recognize that until we repair the past of the Americas, until we address the issue of reparations as well, we are not going to be able to have an honest conversation with each other, even as progressives. I ask us equally to recognize that we do not live in an echo chamber. And as much as we believe in what we believe and will fight for what we believe, we must be prepared to have conversations with those who do not agree with us. And it is in having those conversations that we begin to frame out what I have called for global, moral, strategic leadership. Because two wrongs do not make right. Global, because the whole world is now affected by a movement that does not see people and that wants to continue the deepening divide of wealth and poverty. Moral, because we have to do the right thing for the right reasons, and too many people are using others to gain what they want in terms of imperial ambitions for land, for property, for wealth, for power, but they use people to get that. And strategic, because we cannot boil the ocean. We have to pick which issues we can win. And I say to you that making the international system fairer so that it can work for us, so that we can save both people and planet, because we are human beings that can walk and chew. We are human beings that know how to do multiple things, and it is not impossible to save the planet while creating opportunities for poor people to stop being poor. It is possible.
I'm back, and I hope you have watched that speech from Mia Mottley and you have heard the issues she has raised. She has raised the issue of inequality, leadership, and future of developing countries. Mia Mottley began by highlighting Barbados' achievement in areas such as free education, healthcare, and effort to improve living standard. Her message is that democracy should not only be about election or political campaigns. It should also be judged by whether it improves people's daily life. She argues that when government invests in education, healthcare, and opportunities for their citizens, democracy becomes more meaningful. For many people across the Caribbean and other developing regions, this raises an important question. Are our governments doing enough to improve the quality of life for ordinary citizens? Another major theme of her speech is global inequality. Mottley says that many of the international financial institutions are created after World War II were designed for a very different world. In her view, today's challenges such as climate change, rising debt, and economic inequality require new approaches. She also points out something many people don't often consider. She argues that many of the world's poor actually live in middle-income countries rather than the poorest countries. That means economic statistics alone don't always reflect the struggle that ordinary families face. A country may appear stable on paper, while many of its citizens still struggle with the rising cost of house, food, healthcare, and education. Mia Mottley then turned to leadership. She says the world needs what she calls moral and strategic leadership. Her argument is that leaders should think beyond short-term politics and focus on solving long-term problems that affect future generations. According to her, the world is facing several battles at once: growing inequality, environmental challenges, and increasing division among people. She believes leaders have a responsibility to work together instead of allowing this problem to continue growing. She also stresses that leadership is not only the responsibility of politicians. Citizens have a role to play by staying informed, asking questions, voting responsibly, and holding leaders accountable. Democracy works best when people remain engaged instead of becoming indifferent. One of the more sensitive parts of her speech focuses on history and reparation. Mia Mottley argues that conversation about historical injustice, including slavery and colonialism, should not be ignored. In her view, addressing these issues honestly is part of building stronger relationships and creating a more just future. This topic often generates different opinions. Some believe reparations are necessary to address historical wrongs, while others disagree on how they should be handled. Regardless of where people stand, Mia Mottley's message is that this conversation should be approached thoughtfully rather than avoided. She closes her speech with a call to action. Her warning is that when ordinary people ignore injustice or remain silent, accountability becomes weaker. She encouraged citizens everywhere to speak up peacefully, participate in civil life, and expect integrity from those in position of power. Whether you are in Barbados, Jamaica, Kenya, or anywhere else in the world, her speech raises questions that affect many societies. What kind of leadership do we want? What kind of leadership do you prefer? How should government respond to inequality? And what responsibility do ordinary citizens have in shaping the future? These are not easy questions, and responsible people will have different answers. But discussing them openly is part of what makes democracy stronger. So guys, I would like to hear your thoughts. Do you think Mia Montley's message reflects the challenges facing developing countries today? What changes would you like to see from leaders in your own countries? Kindly put your thoughts at the comment section. And if you find this commentary interesting, don't forget to like, share, and follow for more discussion on global affairs, Caribbean issue, and leadership. And as usual, greetings to my Caribbean brothers and sisters. Stay tuned, stay informed, and thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next one. One love.